And today, here with some very creative ideas about how to spend all that dough is Vonetta Logan, host of the Connect the Dots podcast. Vonetta, thanks for coming back to the show.
Hi. Hey. First of all, can I just say I would use my $500 to bribe someone to win a date with Diggy. So who can I?
Are you applying?
I know, right? Help me out.
Yeah.
You gotta send in a video. You gotta send in a video.
So Vonetta, you've got some ideas for how we should, of course, spend all that dough if we're able to get that $500 windfall. So we're going to start with something spending smart, something called Coursera. What is that?
This is great. So the average American worker only got a raise of about 2.9%, and there's a lot of people that are trying to get to their next level career-wise. So Google has partnered with this online learning platform called Coursera, and you can get a certification to become a Google IT support person. What's great is that you can work remotely or you can work on site, but they need to fill 150,000 IT jobs. So Google is subsidizing the course. It's $49 a month. But if you have need, Google is also giving away 10,000 scholarships. The course takes about 8 to 10 hours a week. You can finish in about 8 months. And then when you're done, they automatically send your resume to like Fortune 500 companies.
So it's about investing in yourself.
Investing in yourself. And you don't need any advanced degree. You don't need any previous experience. They teach you everything you need to know through these really cool interactive modules.
That's really cool stuff. We talk about investing in ourselves, but like $500, I mean, sometimes like if you let that grow and grow and grow, and the best way to let that grow for someone else maybe is investing in their college. Like if you got a niece, a niece or an uncle, a niece or a nephew, or one of your kids or grandkids. So if you're looking maybe to take that $500 and give it to someone for their college, what's a good way to do that?
Have you guys heard of a 529 plan?
No.
Yes, of course.
I have.
Okay, so 529 plan, all of the states have it, but it's tax-free earnings that you can use for college. So you put money in an account, and it doesn't even have to be your kid. Maybe you just see a cute kid on the street, you're like, here, kid, have some money. No, but
here's a 529.
Yeah, here's a 529. I'm going to donate some money to you, kid. But especially as college tuition costs continue to increase, like as soon as you get knocked up, you need to be thinking about a plan for how to pay for your kids' college. So the good thing about it is that not only does it go to tuition, but it also goes to room and board, books, if they need computer. There's like a lot of really cool ways that you can use the money. So take advantage of it.
So people should give out 529s for Halloween instead of race eaters.
Yes.
Yes, right? 529 for you and you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
your house is going to get toilet paper.
Tell us about the Lending Club. What is that about?
So Lending Club is great. It's a site that utilizes something called peer-to-peer lending, which is not just like, hey, Felicia, lend me $500.
Okay.
So peer-to-peer lending is people who have extra money, and they're like, you know what, I'm going to look for qualified people that need loans, and I'm going to lend them money at a lower rate, and then that way people get like returns on their money. But the best way to use peer-to-peer lending is for debt consolidation.
Yeah.
So you have multiple credit cards, you have store credit cards, and they all have different payoff dates. They all have different interest rates, and you're sort of frazzled because you're really working to get your debt down. What peer-to-peer lending, like Lending Club does, you fill out an application. If you have a good credit score, you can get a significantly lower interest rate, and you have a definitive payoff date. So your 5 or 10 credit card different amounts that you have gets all rolled into one big giant amount at a lower rate, and then you know exactly when you're going to pay off your date. No penalty if you pay it off early.
Smart.
And it's just a really good way to throw $500 at your credit card debt.
That's kind of big what you're saying, because I think a lot of people get confused, or they don't necessarily know how to manage their credit.
Right.
And so if you end up carrying these high balances, you're saying it's a lot better than just paying the minimum here, minimum here.
Exactly.
6 minimums.
Right, because then you're on the hook for 40 years, 50 years,
Tell me
just
about
paying
it.
the minimum rate. So.
Hey, Vonetta, I imagine that, you know, with all these ideas, they're all great. I imagine that ahead of any windfall that you might get, it's important to have this planned out ahead of time. Because once you get that money, if you don't have a plan of attack, you're just going to end up spending it somewhere you shouldn't.
I'm going to blow it on puppies.
But to know ahead of time.
Yes, to know ahead of time. That's very good, John. Yeah, know ahead of time. Have a plan. Invest in yourself, whether it be for education or investing in your child or investing in paying yourself by paying down your debt.
So what are a few quick tips that we can talk about as far as lowering your credit card debt, and just before you even gather it all up?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to is, again, you want to set a plan for yourself, and obviously, like Felicia said, like the higher interest credit card debt, you definitely want to take care of that first. As I've talked about in other segments, you can call the credit card company and be like, hey, can you lower my rate? I've been paying on time, I have a good record. But first and foremost, you want to figure out if there's a way to either transfer the balance to something that has like 0% interest, but make sure that there's not going to be a big balloon payment, that you have enough time, or to consolidate your debt as a whole. And of course, try not to add new debt, which
Yeah.
is hard because
Right.
a lot of people, so many
Yeah.
of us
Oh, yeah.
are living
We're in debt.
paycheck to paycheck. But there's a lot of really good online resources and communities for other people, because no one talks about
Yeah.
debt. Like, people will talk
about
about,
money.
getting freaky, but they won't talk about debt.
And knowledge is power, and you can get a lot of that knowledge from Vonetta. You can listen to her podcast, the Connect the Dots Financial Podcast, which you can find on iTunes. Vonetta, thank you so much for stopping by with these tips.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Always
So
a
fun.
pleasure. Oh, yeah, for sure.